What's up, everybody? This is the third meeting of the group, and there's 3 people here. And look, check this out. If you go into the Discord, there are 3 other people in the Discord chat now. So, if you want to join, look in the description of this video, and you can find the link to join this meeting every Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 7 a.m. where I am in Nicaragua, and these guys are in England, so who knows what time it is for them.
1 o'clock.
Nice.
In the afternoon.
So today I want to talk about something that Jason asked in the Discord chat earlier this week. But before we get to that, I want to have some food for thought for you guys. So for today's meeting and for next week, I'm going to use the same concept. And at the end of this call, I'm going to ask you guys for a question that you want me to ask you next week. Usually this is something like, did you do this? Or did you look at this? Or did you start this? These kind of things. Right. So just some food for thought for while we're talking. Think about what you may want me to ask you next week. And then at the end of this call, we will share that. Okay?
Okay.
So Jason, if you could, sorry, go on, Simon.
Just about your question, is that in relation to efficiency or just a question in general? It's
related to what you need it to be. So it could be efficiency, but it could be, again, something you are putting off. I mean, that would be efficiency. I feel like no matter what, it's going to end up being about efficiency if you're using me to hold you accountable for something, you know?
Okay, right. Okay, yeah.
But so Jason has been drop shipping, and while doing research, he came across a phenomenon. Do you want to explain what you were finding, Jason?
Sure. I think this could be relevant to many people who are starting. And it's really simple. So when you do research on, on sellers, competitors, on items, I tended to find that I see items selling at the same price, or at a lower price, or at a price that's lower than break-even price on eBay than it is on Amazon. So then that got me thinking. Originally, I think, okay, cool. Like, it makes sense in some circumstances for business to do business at a loss, to gain market share or build up reputation. But when you look at sellers who have 3,000, 1,000, 5,000 feedback scores, I think it just makes no sense. Like, your business cannot be viable if your 10,000, 5,000, 30,000 listings are selling at a loss. So my question to everybody was then that how can people do this? Like, what's going on here? What is it?
Well, I'm sure Jack will give us a better answer than I will. I don't know really. Like I say, a lot of people, they sell things at a loss just to get some sales. That'd be one reason. They might not be drop shipping. They might be buying in bulk at wholesale and then selling off at the same price that they're selling on Amazon. Or they might be using, I don't know, some kind of cashback instead of getting an actual profit. Just getting cash back on the back end. I don't know. Jack, you've got more experience than I have, so.
Yeah, it's good to hear everyone's opinion. It also helps. So just for reference, Simon, there's a loop, an audio loop, so your microphone can hear the speaker. So that's why I'm muting you anytime someone else is talking, because otherwise we're also hearing a duplication of it. But it's really important for subjects like this as well that we get everybody's opinion, even if you feel like you don't know something about it. Inherently, if you're new, you are going to have a headspace that is very similar to most of the people who are learning or watching this call, for example. So don't feel like, just because you don't know the answer doesn't mean that like you don't have something valuable to say, because confusion can be valuable when people relate to it. So there's a lot of different factors in this specific situation. And so it's important to understand that it is unlikely that the seller you're looking at is just taking a loss. That doesn't really happen that often. And if it does, the seller typically doesn't exist that way for very long. Usually they're earning money somehow, somewhere else, and you just don't see that part. And I had a common misconception with this where I thought, okay, people are earning money on the back end with cashback and gift cards, or maybe they're using like fraud and they're using someone else's credit card. So it doesn't matter if they lose money on the sale, they get the whole transaction as profit, right? However, I've come to understand now that I've worked more with physical sellers on eBay that a lot of the times we're looking at an item on Amazon and on eBay. So we're looking at an eBay seller and seeing an item that they're selling, and then we look at where we think they're sourcing the item from Amazon, and it looks like less, it looks like they're losing money. There's a lot of situations where it's actually the same seller, and they're not necessarily just drop shipping. They're also doing wholesale and other things. And so they have a product that they can provide, and they provide it both on Amazon and on eBay. So when you look at it thinking that they're just drop shipping, it looks like they are selling it on eBay and sourcing it from Amazon and losing money. But in reality, they are sourcing the product either like physically or from somewhere else, and eBay and Amazon are just two different platforms that they're using for this, right? And that's not always the case. But it is confusing because you can regularly find sellers who have items that appear to be at a loss compared to other websites. But it is important to always assume that it is because of some information that you don't have, not that they are actually losing money. It's possible, but it's unlikely that a seller is just going to just be taking a loss just to get involved or learn. It's possible, but not that common.
Right. Actually, to follow on from that, so I've been thinking about dropshipping in general, right? And the areas for profitability would be A, supply, B, demand, and supply side, given what you just said, if people are sourcing things through different channels and then simply selling them on eBay or Amazon in order to be more competitive from my end or Simon's and whoever's end, we almost need to, expand our network of suppliers. And this sort of led me to think that, for example, contrasting, so everybody here, I think, took David Wu's course on dropshipping. But if we contrast David Wu's course with Anton, the guy who does Shopify a lot, right? And Anton really put emphasis on the supplier side. I mean, that's where you get the for him, that's where you get competitive amount around. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go on. I was just saying the word competitive advantage.
Oh yeah. Advantage, right? Competitive advantage. And I was wondering for people, maybe Simon, you can shed more light on this, or because we're both based in UK. Jack, I know I've taken your course regarding dropshipping in terms of cashback, gift cards. These are sources of profits. But if the people are dropshipping on on UK, France, Germany, I don't know what everyone's experience has been, but my experience has been that to be able to get the profit from Amazon cashback and gift card has been incredibly difficult because simply I could not find a market for such thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are websites that would give you category-specific cashback for Amazon product, but the gift card is almost non-existent. The Amazon UK gift card at a discount, I couldn't find it. Like I even contacted all the software tool people who are building the software for dropshippers. I thought they would have contacts, but most of them they don't, right? And so I was wondering, like in Simon, I mean, I don't know, what your experience has been, but my experience has been that in the UK it's been extremely difficult to find the Amazon gift card, discounted gift card, right? If I pay a premium for that, then there's no point for me to do that. And what are your thoughts regarding spending the supply side of the business?
Yeah, I did look into trying to get Amazon gift cards and basically run into the same, roadblocks that you did. They are difficult to get where you can actually make, a decent amount of money off them, unless you're willing to spend, hundreds of pounds on the actual gift cards. So I kind of give up on that, really. I don't know. I don't really worry about it too much now. All I'm really focusing on is just finding, products and then getting them on the shop and then seeing what sells, and then, listing more stuff relating to what is actually selling. I'm not really worrying too much about, trying to make sure that I've got the lowest price or, making extra money, on the back end. All I'm doing is just listing, really. I'm pointing I'm a big on like optimization. So I might make sure the titles have got loads of keywords and descriptions, are decent, and there's a decent amount of pictures in there. I think that's probably the most important thing, really. And the pricing, I make sure there's generally trying to look at the item, and then if I think it's it looks like it's worth more than it actually is actually priced at, then that's good, because it can push the price up a little bit more. I don't really take much notice as to what other people are pricing it at, and because when you try and beat everybody's price, you just end up you end up spending too long, really, worrying about making sure you've got the right price and everything else. Just list. Just keep listing items, really. That would be my advice. And don't worry about it too much. Jack, you go.
So you guys are definitely right that it's harder to acquire gift cards for UK people. And honestly, what Jason was talking about earlier with suppliers is very interesting because of the current state of dropshipping. So eBay made changes, right, to their terms of use, and this has affected a lot of public perception about dropshipping. And essentially what it means is that it's now going to be more convenient to actually work with dropshipping suppliers instead of using retailers. Because essentially it's always been more profitable to create a relationship with a supplier who knows you dropship and has an agreement with you. This has always been something that if you do this, it is very much worth it. But because of the fact that you have to reach out to people, you have to communicate, and it's kind of similar to FBA, and there's a lot of research involved, a lot of people just don't do that. And they didn't really have to, because you can just use services like Walmart and Amazon, and they ship quickly, they're fairly reliable, there are problems, but you can work around them, right? Whereas now this has kind of changed because eBay has made it specifically against policy to use retail arbitrage for dropshipping. You can use regular dropshipping. This is completely fine. Granted, you should expect that there will be some headache of showing eBay you are actually using drop shipping suppliers, not retail arbitrage, because I've heard from people who are doing that, they're doing it legit, and eBay flags them and then tells them that they're drop shipping from Walmart, and then they're like, I've never ordered anything from Walmart. Like, that's not true at all. But this is, it is very interesting because, like, I don't want you guys to think that you're at a, like, big disadvantage because you're in the UK and you have, like, limited access to gift cards and cashback, because while that is true, the scene in the UK is a bit different, and also the times are changing right now with drop shipping. So if we can learn more about different drop shipping suppliers like Jason is talking about, this is something that is quite beneficial. And so really quick, I'm going to share a service. I got an email recently from so there are two emails I want to talk about. One is actually a newsletter from SKUgrid, and I was actually pretty impressed with what they were saying in this. So essentially, I'm going to summarize it real quick. So it's a thing from SKUgrid. They're like, hey, as you guys know, many people involved in dropshipping are used to using retail supplier sources. However, because of eBay's recent changes and how Amazon and eBay feel about this, they don't like it when you're using competing companies, yada, yada, yada. So they encourage people to find and contact some wholesale supplier sources. And somebody actually reached out to me who provides a service that does this. Let me find the email real quick. I'll unmute you guys and listen while I'm looking for the email. Bum, bum.
I just want to point out something Jack is very interesting, which is the problem or challenge for people like me and Simon, or people who are new to the game, where we are perhaps faced with a different landscape than people started dropshipping 5 years ago, is actually that, I mean, this is something I experienced this week. And it's very simple. Every single problem that exists is just a signal for opportunity, right? If we solve this, let's say that Simon, you, me, we solve it, but of course we're not being the only one. I think many people have already solved this, right? Then we'll just become more competitive at the end of the day, right? And just by listening to what Jack, you just said, I actually thought just to myself now that would it make sense? I mean, I don't know, Simon, how you feel about this, but we can, within our weekly meeting within our group, we can, simply start maybe a database of UK suppliers or suppliers that can work with UK dropshippers, and then we can share our resources. I used to work in retail sales, and I think the process, I'm sure there are many people with many different experiences who are even more close than I am to speak about this, but the process of contacting supplier is it's a sales process whereby they have to judge you if you are, I guess, trustworthy, if you meet their different criteria. So then they decide to work with you or not, right? And I know Anton's private group, they do this because this is their whole business concept, which is different from retail arbitrage. They have a group of, I don't know how many people, but they have like hundreds, if not thousands, of US or worldwide people who are working with dropshippers and different products. And then it seems to me, I mean, I'm not within their inner group, so I don't know, but it seems to me they have been doing quite well, and I think, but so far in the market, I have not heard of anybody or seen anybody that is, for example, focused on geographically specific locations, right? I mean, UK is one of them. I don't know what do you think?
I unmuted you.
You kind of lost me. Your mic was sort of dipping out in and out. It's probably my laptop. Are you asking for a list of UK suppliers? Or the suppliers that I use, or
No, I was just suggesting that perhaps it would be good if we, within the group, we can perhaps start a list of database of potential suppliers because in the long run, this will be very important.
I see. Yeah, so a list of suppliers, and then giving them sort of a rating, if you like, or what they're good at and what not.
Or probably I'll try to probably sell myself to them, even though that'll be very difficult because like I'm very new to this business. But of course, the key in this business is that you have to behave as if, right? Like, so eventually, maybe we can have a pool of resources of these different suppliers, and we can perhaps help people within the group in the UK to get in touch, to coach them, to teach them, because I don't think there's such a group focused on UK market. I know there are groups within the US market in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be useful. I mean, the software that I use to reprice my items and check the stock is Hustle Got Real. They're very good. They have a list of all the suppliers that they, you can use with their software. I have been through it. Really only use a few different sources. One of them is VDirectSell, Amazon, obviously, and there's a couple of other sites that I use. But I'm reluctant to share those. Just because I sell quite a lot of stuff through their sites, and I've not really seen anybody else compete with me on price on that one. So, but yeah, but they're not actually on the Hustle Got Real software, so I have to check their stock manually. But I mean, they usually have like loads of everything, so it's not a problem. But one tip I actually got from Ecom Tom, actually, one of his videos I watched this week was do your own sourcing. Try and find a sort of obscure source that other people aren't really using, and that's usually a good way to make sure that you actually you're profitable. So yeah, do your research. Yeah, Jack, what do you think?
One thing I do want to bring up is you should be very careful about using phrases like not being aware of another or someone doing something like this, especially when it comes to like talking about the whole UK as a country. There's tons and tons of people there, and it's better for you to always assume that there are people doing what you want, you just don't know them or you haven't connected with them, because chances are they exist, versus like it's more accurate to assume that they do exist, and maybe sometimes they don't. That's going to be more accurate than assuming that they don't exist because you don't know about them. There's like 8 billion people on this planet, something like that. Like our brains can't even comprehend how many people that is. Like if you really try and imagine that, like, okay, there's us 3. We don't know everything about each other, but we're only 3 people. Then imagine trying to keep track of 100 times that, and 100 times that, and 100 times that, and 100 times that. Like your brain literally can't comprehend how many people are out there. So it is really important to kind of make sure that you're expecting that there are groups of people doing what you're talking about. And regarding drop shipping in the UK, Jason, do you know anything about Broke to Boss Girl or Becky's YouTube channel? Do you follow that at all?
Yeah. She's I think she's been so yeah, she started I think about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. I mean, at least her YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually don't, I don't know
Now
what she's
she
up to now, but
yeah.
it's just an example of a YouTuber who is specific to eBay UK. Oh, 1 second. Sorry, you were muted, Simon.
No, it's fine. Yeah, she's not uploaded a video in quite a while. I don't know what she's doing now, really. She's just focusing on her course and helping the people that.
Yeah, I wonder. I'll reach out to her. It'd be good to ask her how things are going. I like doing catch-up videos with other YouTubers.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got some good, good videos on her channel there. I was following her for quite a while, but she kind of dropped off the planet slightly.
Yeah, it happens.
I think I saw her video was interview did with Mark, which was last year October. She came back from Nicaragua apparently, and yeah, I don't know what she's doing things.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You've frozen a bit. Oh, you're back. All right, cool. So if you guys, I would actually like to share something real quick. I'm gonna share the screen, and I don't know too much about this service, so keep in mind, like, I just got this email and I'm sharing an example of something with you guys. Okay. So I'm trying to come to understand it as well. So I got an email from a company called Letopia, and they're reaching out because I'm known on YouTube, yada yada. And essentially what they're claiming they have is, so this is relevant to the US, at least sourcing wise. But if this exists in the US, it's wise to assume that some services like this will exist in the UK. It's just a matter of being able to identify them. So I'm bringing this up because it's kind of interesting what they're claiming, that they have US inventory and 3-day delivery. So this would mean that, you get an order and it gets delivered on the 3rd day, which is almost as fast as Amazon. And that's quite unusual with dropshipping suppliers. But again, this is just an email. I don't know if this is all bullcrap. Like, maybe it's just some crappy website and they don't follow through with anything. Like, I have no idea, right? But it is interesting, and they're kind of marketing themselves as an option. Like, if you go to their main homepage, you can see here, it says, like, it has a whole article about dropshipping not being allowed on eBay. And then it shows the article that eBay has about it, right? And so the website is using this to be like, oh, we are not a retailer, we are a wholesale supplier. And this is something that we should, like, based on my understanding of what's going on with dropshipping, I think it would be quite wise to take some time and really try and understand how to get more involved in like actual relationship dropshipping, where you reach out to a supplier. So right now I'm trying to think of ways that we could accomplish this, and essentially all the actionable that we could do would be to literally just email people. So first we would need to create a list of possible suppliers like this, or like UK suppliers. But that brings up the point of how do we identify these places, these sources, especially for you guys, because this is US based. So how do we find UK based versions of this? What are you guys' thoughts?
Well, just following from what you showed, perhaps find a UK-based dropshipping software company and try to work with them. I'm sure Google search could help, but whatever that appears in a Google search will be public information, right? So that may not be like Amazon, but maybe in the same effect as Amazon because everybody uses it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in this case, we're not looking for UK retail suppliers. Actually, I have a list that you guys can use that has that. But what we are trying to find is actual wholesale suppliers that you could drop ship within terms of use on eBay from. And also there's one other thing to address, and that's that every eBay marketplace is different and is ran a bit differently. So I know that eBay US is becoming quite picky with drop shipping. However, I don't understand if these changes are as serious on the other platforms like eBay UK or eBay France. Do you guys have any insight on that?
Oh. Simon?
No, I'm unmuted. There we go.
I think you can unmute yourself.
Can I? Oh, right.
Yeah.
From my understanding of it is that eBay UK is basically what it used to be like in the US, like, a few years ago. So whatever's happening in the US now will eventually filter through to the other, eBay UK and eBay France and the other platforms. But it's basically just a matter of time.
So have you guys, talking to eBay reps, has anything come up in any way?
Not from not from what but I generally keep my conversations with the reps to a minimum. Really, I don't really talk to them very much. Only really when I want to increase my limits, and then I just stick to my usual, conversation. My store's pretty small, so I don't really have that many needs. I don't really need to contact the reps very, very often.
Interesting.
Maybe this is reflection on the eBay marketplace differences. Maybe the simple reflection of the number of YouTubers who are doing, or dropshippers who are also YouTubers. More of them seems to be US based because US is a much bigger market. But if you Google dropshipping into YouTube search bar, you'll find a lot more, I guess, complaints about their store being banned, the accounts being banned, right, from the US based or eBay US market based sellers than perhaps UK based ones, right? But that might just be a simple reflection of the market size.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's really hard to know when you're comparing different markets because they're different, It is relevant too. I always, whenever people talk about overseas markets, I want to point out that eBay UK, eBay France, almost all of these non-US places, they have anchor store equivalents where you get unlimited listings, so you don't have to pay any kind of insertion fees. And this inherently makes profitability with drop shipping easier if you're able to grow an account that allows you to post that many items. Because like in my case, when I was drop shipping that way, drop shipping in bulk, so to say, because I was drop shipping on eBay US, I barely earned any money. Even though I was able to grow a huge account and like have 100,000 items up for a while before I was banned, right? The reality is doing that if that had happened in one of these other marketplaces, I would have $91,000 I don't have right now. Like that's a good amount of money, you know. And it's interesting to learn more about the differences in these marketplaces, because there are also, I've talked with people based in like certain African countries who prefer to dropship on eBay UK, because in their opinion, it is easier to create a UK entity than it is to create a US entity. So these are people who don't have citizenship in either of the countries, and they want to create a business, right? And there are ways that you can do that with in the US and also in the UK, as long as you know like who to talk to, what fees to pay, how to pay your taxes, all these kind of things. And it's really fascinating because there's so much opportunity, and it's all right there. It's just a matter of like, have you guys ever noticed how when you do something for like the first time, it seems super complicated and crazy, but then like 2 or 3 years later, you don't even remember that it was hard. It just seems like second nature, you know?
You are so right. I think just
I'm muted now. Yeah, it's all just like forming new connections in your brain, isn't it? Whether you learn how to do something, and the more you do it, the more it becomes, you know, those connections become more established, and then it's it's like driving a car. You know, the first time you get into a car and you need to learn to drive, you're having to think about everything. What's like change gear and check the mirrors and then everything, but then, you know, after a few years, you don't even think about it, and a lot of the time you just get into the car with the intention to, you know, get home, and then you can't actually remember the drive at all. You just arrive at your destination. It's like, well, how did I get here? But it's the same kind of thing, isn't it?
So I think now is a good time to start figuring out what questions I will be asking you guys next week.
Something that I've been thinking of lately is the things that you say to yourself. There's a good book by Shad Helmstetter called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself, which I've read a few times actually, which I just picked up again the other day. And this actually relates, you know, to the whole efficiency thing, and, you know, you're writing down, you know, your tasks and working through. Because I have found that there's certain things that I need to do like on a daily basis that I don't really want to do, and I keep telling myself that I don't want to do them. And I have noticed that my subconscious brain is going, okay, you don't want to do that task. Okay, I will make sure that there are enough other things to distract you so you don't actually get, you know, end up finding the time to do the thing that you don't want to do. And it's because I'm doing it to myself, because I keep telling myself I don't want to do this. This is really hard. But, you know, all I need to do is just change it and say I'm really looking forward to doing, you know, whatever. You know, I really enjoy doing that thing. What are your thoughts on that kind of thing? And
I just had a conversation with someone about this. Like yesterday. But there's a recurring trope or theme where in my past and now sometimes I'm much better about it, but I used to say like, oh, I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. And now anytime I say that, I'm like, no, I want to do this. I want to do this. It's not so great to be like, I really want to do this, because that's just really lying, you know. But changing it a little bit, and it is true that every time you make a statement, that is how you program yourself. You have your thoughts, and then the thoughts that you act upon in words. Anytime you say a sentence, it changes you, even though it's not much. It does change you a little bit. So by taking control of the way that you are communicating, I think that's definitely, like, I fully believe that that's valuable. It's a very good habit to have. I'm confused how I can ask you something next week relevant to this, though.
Yeah, I realized that wasn't actually a question. It was more of a statement. Okay, well, maybe the question should be with, like, what things, well, I mean, we could, spend the week and actually listen to the things that we're actually saying to ourselves on a regular basis. And what are those things, have you noticed that you keep saying to yourself? And
okay,
how are they preventing you from doing the things that you need to do?
Yeah, we can start by establishing what it is that you're telling yourself, and then we can use that to try and gain some insight into how to change that or what to improve upon. So let's see, how would, because I could ask you for, like, a list of the things. I guess I can just, how would you want me to phrase this in a way that gets you, Simon, to think, oh, Jack's going to ask me this, I have to remember to, I want you to have that feeling that I get from Friday calls, where, like, I know I have to do something to bring it to the group. So, we can take advantage of that feeling to motivate.
I don't know, basically.
I could ask just specifically what you have been telling yourself since the last call, and then we can talk about that. And now that we've had this conversation, it'll be, there'll be moments where you notice that, and then you remember next week, and we can talk about them.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Let me just write that down. Okay.
We could use the Discord to ask the other guys in the group if there's any questions that they might want to discuss next Friday as well.
Yeah, so for any of you guys watching, I'll give them a real quick Discord tour. So you can download and install Discord. Discord is a messaging service that's traditionally used by video gamers, but it's, like, super light. It obviously, because people run games on their computer, they don't want to run a really hefty program that is taking up all of their memory and everything. And it's really convenient. You can install it on your phone, which is what I encourage you to do. And then essentially anybody who's interested in this group can just join this Discord chat. And then this is how you stay up to date with what the group is doing, and we can share questions. Any communication outside of the calls themselves happens in the Discord chat. So for any of you guys watching, if you don't have Discord, that's an actionable for you. Literally just download the app on your phone. That can be a step towards more communication. So Jason, what about you? What can I ask you next week that's going to be beneficial for you? Is there anything that you've been putting off, or anything you want me to remind you about, or what are your thoughts?
Okay, so I've been thinking about that, and I would like for you to ask me next Friday this time, what 3 things have I done in the past week that made me happy?
Okay.
And happy can be defined in a variety of ways, whether that's, doing something, like sport, whether that's improving on my efficiency or whatever that made me feel good about myself, I think. And yeah, I think that would be a good question.
Awesome. Yeah, so this I'll go on a little rant real quick about happiness. A lot of people don't value happiness, and I think this is a huge mistake, because happiness is essentially a direct measurement of your effectiveness at living your life. So if you don't value happiness, then you can accomplish things, but you aren't going to be as effective as if you really understood what makes you happy. This is because happiness isn't about just having a bunch of stuff. Like, people think, oh, if you have money, you're happy. That's not true. Money makes it easier to be happy, but to be happy, you have to understand yourself, and you have to perceive that you are growing and developing. That's the key to really feeling like you're happy. You have to feel like you're not resenting yourself. You're not mad about you're not doing the things that you want to do, because you're doing them, right? And so for any of you listening and you think that like talking about happiness isn't relevant, it is completely relevant. Even if this was like just about drop shipping, if you are doing things that make you happy, you are being effective and you will get more done, and you're drastically more likely to accomplish your goals. If you're doing things that don't make you happy, then you can do things. You can still accomplish things without valuing happiness, but if you view happiness as the metric of your efficiency, you're going to have a much better time in this life than if you view happiness as a distraction, because a lot of people live that way, and it's tough. And I've met people like this they appear to have everything. They're around attractive people, they have money, they have wealth, they have homes, they have all of this, but their minds aren't happy. They struggle with depression, anger, anxiety, all these problems. And it's easy to think that, oh, if my life was like this, I'd be perfect. The reality is your life changes based on what is currently going on and where you've been. And in my case, for example, I'm going through like a really insecure phase where I'm reinventing my YouTube channel and changing how I do things. And like, I feel like a failure right now. When the reality is, from other people's perspective, like, I get to do anything I want. I live in a country where I can do anything, and I have all day to do anything. So me perceiving myself this way is dumb, but it's the reality. And so it is really important to value the things that make you happy. I definitely agree there.
Can I just suggest something? For the next week, you just touch on one topic that I am incredibly passionate about, which is that happiness. And in my I'll really, for next Friday, perhaps we can talk about the structure of different structures of life and self-perception that would bring about maybe a happier feeling about oneself, for you to value whatever that you feel to be relevant, valid, or just as relevant as valid as what society and other people tell you that you're supposed to be. Because I think everyone here, when you mention you have to go through big changes in life, right? That brings along, by definition, uncertainty, insecurity, and it is within those times that we perhaps would doubt ourselves. Is this the right thing to do? Or maybe I should just do whatever they do, and then therefore I'll be happy. But then, I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds great. Are you down to focus on like the individual conditions that make us happy next week, Simon?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Cool. So I've got questions to ask you guys, and we got an idea for what to talk about next week. So I think I got to get ready for my next call. And just so you guys know, in the future, I'm probably going to need to change the date of these calls, or the time, sorry, because I have a call every Friday for another mastermind group, and it starts an hour after this call, and really I'd like to have 2 hours for this call. Not because it'll take 2 hours, but just because then it's more flexible. Like if we have like more people, it's going to become more relevant for the call to be a bit longer. So this is just letting you guys know.
Yeah, no problem.
And one other thing for everybody who's listening, watching on YouTube, perhaps all for the group, people in the group, is that, you know, Jack, and Simon, within the Discord channel, there is a function for voice communication. So if there's anyone within the group who wants to discuss anything, want to communicate, exchange ideas, I think that would be a great way. You just press a button called voice channels, and therefore we are all connected.
Yeah, I can show them actually. So this is Discord for those of you guys watching, right? I showed you earlier. And then all that you would do, right now I'm in the text channel, so I can be like, hey guys. But if I wanted to, I could just click on the voice channel, and it's like hanging out in a room. Now Discord can hear me talking, and anybody who is also in the voice channel will also hear me talking. So you don't need to like start a call or connect with a specific individual. You just click on the join the voice channel thing here. Like, yeah, right now Jason just joined. So we could be talking to each other right now, and it's super, super, super convenient. And typically, remember, it's designed for gamers, so they'd like get home, they join the voice channel, see who else is there, see what games they're playing, and then play with them, because it's more fun to play with your friends when you're able to talk to them. So Discord is designed with that in mind. And it's super useful, and I think it was a really good recommendation, Jason, for us to start a Discord channel.
Yes, I love games too.
All right, guys. So with that, I'm gonna head out. I'm trying to unmute Simon, but it's not.
Do it.
There we go. Okay.
There you go. I'm taking control back.
All right, guys. Ciao.
Peace out. Next week.